find it right here. That godly love, I'm talking ILM, agape love, no conditions existing here. It's perfect love that redeems you from all your sins. Come on, no judging when you step in this place. Hat cocked, but I'm still in his grace. Ripped jeans, Air Jordans, and tattoos, but no worries, cause I'm still living saved. Come on, a pastor who rocks when the mic hot. Congregation going up when the beat drop. So if you redeemed by the blood, but you still cut a rug, then you in the right place. Come on.
Hands in the air if you're looking for love in the world with nothing but hate.
Come on.
You're in the right place, surrounded by grace. Come on, you can join this race.
Throw your hands in the air, you're ready to praise in a world with nothing but hate.
Come on.
You're in the right place, surrounded by grace. Come on, come on, come on.
What is going on, everybody? Oh, my bad. I'm so sorry. It's a bad habit. Such a bad habit. I'm so sorry. Hey, listen, what is going on, everybody? You watching Bible study with your boy Scotty, Word Up Wednesday, and the topic today is the source. What are you connected to? I want to appreciate everybody for being in the chat. Anybody coming from my off-script family, I appreciate you guys. If you are tuning in, make sure you subscribe. This is my church family as well as the one I have in Ohio, but this is the one in Atlanta, and stuff like that. So as well, I want to thank Apostle for allowing me to come back on here. I know I said some things, but God had convicted me, so I had to change it up. You know what I'm saying? I know y'all weren't going to see me, but God said no. So then I got to be like, yeah, you feel me? So that's why I'm here right here today. So I'm glad I am able to do this, and Apostle allows me to do this as well. Now, real quick. Okay, so story time, right before I get into the stuff. All right, so real quick. So I keep saying this every time I come on here. I do a walk, right? That's how I communicate with God. Like I go on a walk, listen to gospel music and whatever. So while I'm going on my walk, God gives me this lesson, right? And so while I'm doing my walk, I'm like, let me text Apostle, because God was like, God gave me the lesson and was like, reach out to Apostle. So I reached out and I said, hey, if you need somebody for Word Up Wednesday, I got you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? He's like, oh, cool. Reach out to Jessica and stuff like that. So as I'm doing my walk, God is like, this is Monday. God is like, prepare your slides, right? So I'm like, oh yeah, okay, cool, right? But I'm thinking about Apostle. Apostle already said he reached out to Jessica, so I'm like, that at least give me about a week or two, you know what I'm saying, before I gotta really like be on the show, right? But God kept dropping like, prepare your slides. So today, about 1 or 2 o'clock, Apostle texted me, hey, Brother Scott, you think you can? I said, oh, God, you are funny. I said, Lord God, you're funny. I said, I see why I had to prepare my slides, because I was like, Jesus, like that last minute stuff, right? Like, hey, you said you're good. You good? I mean, you do it? So what all this is to tell you, when God tells you to do what you're supposed to do, just go ahead and do it. You know what I'm saying? So I was up here like 2 hours ago, just trying to put everything together that was in my head. I had to put it on paper and then put it in the slide and everything like that. So it'd be like that. It'd be like that sometimes. You feel what I'm saying? So it'd be like that. So when God tell you to do something, move accordingly. Okay, move accordingly. That's all I'm gonna say. Now today's topic is and lesson is the source. What are you connected to? Right now, I'm gonna be real with you. Listen, if you know me, I'm gonna keep it a buck with you, right? The way God gave me this, shout out to my guy, man. Shout out to you, Rick. Appreciate you for tuning in, man. Public figure, man. Y'all go check my guy out, man. Appreciate you for tuning in. But this is how God gave it to me. God gave it to me in frustration, right? God gave it to me in frustration, and when I was getting it. All I felt was frustration when I was getting the sermon, when I was getting the lesson, when I was getting the information of how God was trying to break it down to me. Was all I felt was frustration when he was downloading it to me. So I'm not saying that God was frustrated, but I just felt like the way he gave it to me was in frustration, right? So once again, the source, what are you connected to? Because what we as people, we really don't understand all the things that we are linked to and connected to or the things that we think are sources, but they're really just a resource. Okay, I'm gonna say that again for the people in the back. Where a lot of people are connected to things they think are sources, but they are literally just the resource. And I'll go into that a little bit more as I dive in deep into this lesson right now. The main verse for today is coming out of 1 Chronicles 14, 10 through 11, right? And it says, so David inquired of God, shall I go attack the Philistines? Will you deliver them into my hands? The Lord answered him, go, I will deliver them into your hands. So David and his men went to Baal, praise him, and there he defeated them. He said, as water breaks out, God has broken out against my enemies by my hand. Now, so that place will be called Baal, praise him. Now, I want to go back to that number 10, right? There's too many times, and it's too many examples in the Bible that show you how people use God as a bouncing board, right? Like they be like, hey God, yeah, listen, you know, I know what you said, I know what I see, but am I still good, right? Like, it's no different. I use this analogy all the time, right? Is your God is your parent, and as black kids, white kids, mostly black kids, right? If you were doing something, if you go to the park and you see kids playing, right, you would say, Mom, is it okay if I go play? And your mom would say, yeah, go play. Just make sure you don't get your clothes dirty, or make sure you don't do this, or make sure. That is how you have to be connected to God. But people don't see it like that. Like, that's the thing to me. That's how you have to be connected with Jesus and God. It has to be a bouncing board type of situation. And that's what David is showing you. David is saying, God, shall I go attack them? Because if God tells me no, then I can't do it. No different than your parent. If your parent says, no, you cannot play, those are not play clothes, you don't go play. It's very simple. But when you're not connected to the right source, you get different information, which then leads you to be in the wrong situation, or on the wrong path, or connected to the wrong thing, right? So once again, David, a man after God's own heart, who sinned and failed and all those stumbled and everything, right? At the end of the day, he would ask God. And this was, I mean, you can see this example through multiple issues in the Bible of God calling somebody and then God telling that person to do that. And they be like, but God, you're gonna be with me, right? Because I'm not about to go over here and mess with these folk if you ain't about to be with me. So you coming, right? And God be like, you know, all mysterious, like, I'll be with you. And then they go do their thing, right? So it's the same thing as us. We are not, God is the same today and forevermore. So why won't that situation still garner in your circumstance today? So once again, I'm going to say continuously throughout this whole message is, what are you connected to? Who are you connected to? To whom are you connected to? Because just when you're locked into a source, because you can be locked into a source that is not beneficial to you. You can be locked into a source that pushes into you negativity, right? Or the wrong things or the wrong decisions and all those type of things. So, but I want to go a little deeper into this. And I like this when I saw this, right? It says, if it wouldn't take forever, Baal praise him means Lord of the breakthrough. You know what I'm saying? Now Apostle will be like, that's the estigial, you know, the breakdown Hebrew. I don't know none of that. I Googled it. Okay. Baal praise him means Lord of the breakthrough. That, listen, that's tough. Okay. That I never knew that. You know, I'm reading it. I probably read that passage, I don't know how many times, and I never knew what that meant. Right? Googled it. I was like, oh, that's pretty dope. I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty cool. Lord of the breakthrough, right? You got Jehovah Jireh, you got Jehovah Rapha, Jehovah Nisi, you know what I'm saying? But I like this Baal, praise him. Baal, praise him. Okay. Lord of the breakthrough. Let's continue on. Right now, 2 Chronicles 20:1-4. Jehoshaphat wins the battle of the Moab and Ammons. After that, the Moabites, Ammonites, and some of the Mennonites went to war against Jehoshaphat. Some people came and told him a huge army is coming from Edom to fight against you. They have come across the Dead Sea. They are already in Hazen Tamar. Hazen Tamar is also called En-Gedi. Jehoshaphat was alarmed, so he decided to ask the Lord for advice. He told all the people of Judah to go without eating. The people came together to ask the Lord for help. In fact, they came from every town in Judah to pray to him, right? Once again, he didn't go off on his own accord. He didn't go off in his own tangent, right? When he got the bad news of somebody was coming to attack him, the first thing he turned to was asking the Lord for advice. We as Christians, we as believers, that has to be the first source is, and listen, it's not easy. I'm not here to lie to you. I can't stand that when people be like, oh, did you pray about it? My wife, I hate when she does that to me, right? Being a prophet and everything. I'd be like, hey, babe, what God telling you? She'd be like, did you pray? Why I gotta pray when you talk to him directly? That defeats the purpose. You get what I'm saying? Like, I really can't stand when she does that. Oh, did you pray about it? I don't need to pray. You talk to him. Like, y'all be conversing. Hey, God, how you doing? Oh, I'm doing well. How about yourself? Like I don't have that type of relationship. So let's cut all the fluff out, right? Let's just cut all the middleman stuff out and let you pick up the red line, hit God up, see what he's talking about, and let's move accordingly, right? So that's how I feel like I should be able to jump the line. But Key does it to me all the time. She was like, did you pray about it? I'm like, I don't feel like praying. Oh, my God. Because I'm going to have to pray. It's going to take, I don't know when God going to respond. I don't know how he going to respond, if he do respond. So then when I pray, it's a lot to that. So I'm not here telling you something that is easy for me. Because I feel like I got a cheat code. I got a prophet at the house. I'm just going to ask the prophet, right? But that's neither here nor there, right? So for me, it's like my walks are that for me, right? When I go on my walk and I talk to God and I listen, like that's when God drops stuff in my spirit, or who to contact, or what he wants me to do, or how he wants me to do it. And all those little different types of things that come into your spirit, inklings and all that type of stuff. That's how God communicates to me. So once again, you have to find what connects you back to God. If it's for my wife, it's going to the water, like being in water, and that's her thing, right? What is your thing? Because you have to find, once again, it's no different than a parent. I'm gonna keep using that as an example. There's things that you and your dad did that you and your mom do not do together, right? Like for me and my dad, we used to watch cartoons. For me and my mom, we played checkers and chess and tonk and all those like that was our time, right? So you have to figure out what is your time. No different than a spouse, no different than a son or daughter. You have to find what works for you in your relationship to find that time to connect, because you'll do it for your job. You'll do it for a girlfriend. You'll do it for a coworker or a family friend. You will do all those things to try to build that connection, but not to the creator who gives it to you all. Not to the creator who's blessed you with the ability to do what you do. Not the creator who's given you the opportunities that you have, who's opened the doors for you, who wakes you up every day. You know what I'm saying? Who gives you life. You won't find that connection with him, but you'll find it in the little things throughout your life that God has placed for you, right? For you. So just little things like that. Let's continue on, right? So, oh yeah, I'll be jumping the line. Now you got to stick with me on this one, okay? This came to me last minute, but you got to really stick with me on this one. I know y'all be like, Scotty, with these graphics and these, listen, my mind works differently, right? So how God gave this to me, God literally, when I was walking, God was like, son, Everything has a source. Everything. Everything on this planet has a source. And I wanted to use electricity, right? Because just like this light comes on, we don't ever really recognize the source. We always recognize the resources, right? If it's the light switch, if it's the transformer, if it's the transformer outside, if it's the electricity line, right? All those are resources that then bring you in electricity. But God says, I'm the creator of it. But we are so enamored with all the things put in place to get us what God has already designed to have. Okay, okay, right? I'll break it down even further for you, right? You're enamored with the car, but not the manufacturer. You're enamored with the cell phone, but you're not enamored with the person who built the chip. Right? You're enamored with the Apple store who sold you the phone, but you're not enamored with the person that built the phone. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's the things in between the source that you lose sight of where it really truly comes from. No different than you being on your job, no different than you being in a relationship, no different than anything, because no matter how great my wife is to me, God saw fit to bring her into my life. So at the end of the day, as much as I thank Keith for being the great woman that she is, I gotta give thanks to God, feeling that blessing was for me. And we as people get too enamored with the in-between and not the source of where it's coming from. We get too caught up in the resources and not in the source of what it is. So when you see this picture and you see the red house and you see the transformer, you see the distribution lines, you see the substation, the transfer, you see all the things in between before you get back to God. But God is saying, you should know better. I can put 20 things in front of you before it gets to your hands, but you should always know who it came from. That should never change. But at times we let that but at times we let that go. We don't really focus on how God is truly the source of it all, right? Because like I said, how God was giving it to me was everything has a source. Trees, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, internet, food. I mean, everything comes from a source. Now, we can all revert it back to God. We can, because he's the creator of all. But how God was giving it to me was just understanding there's a beginning to it. Understanding it didn't just miraculously get here. It started from something and somewhere, and understanding the starting point of where it came from. Right? Because as humans, we can't just say we want eggs. You'd be like, but where did that come from? No, but I got eggs. No, I get it. You got eggs. But where did that come from? Right? Where did it come from? No different than the watermelon. I got watermelon, but where did it come from? Right? You'll say, well, I bought it from Market District, or I bought it from Giant, or I bought it from Target, I bought it from Walmart. Okay, where did Walmart get it from? Well, they got it from a farmer out in Idaho. Okay, then what did he do with it? Oh, he grew it. From what? A seed. Exactly. There's a source. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't matter how many hands it's passed through or how many hands it took to get to you. There's a source that provided it all. And that's what we as Christians have to understand and do with the circumstance, is that instead of worrying about all the resources that have come into play, or all the hurdles and stumbles and blocks and all these things that are in your way, you got a direct line to the source. Now, if you use that or not, that is strictly up to you. Because again, I say to you, I'm not always the first person to tell you I'm gonna go pray about something, because that ain't me, because I got a prophet at the crib. So I'm gonna listen. Anybody know me? I got a slogan. I said, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Okay. So me, I'm gonna cut the line every time. If God allows me to cut the line with my wife, I'm gonna cut the line. It ain't even no question. Like, I'm not about to be prayer 1,000,006 when I got the ability to cut the line. Babe, what God's saying? Okay, he's saying, okay, cool. That's what we're about to do. Right? Cut the line, we out. So that's just me. Not everybody has that luxury. Not everybody is given that ability, right? No, not everybody has that type of obedience. So you have to understand, yeah. Oh, Scotty, I wish I had a prophet too. You do. I wish that for everybody. If it was up to me, you get a prophet, you get a prophet, you get a prophet. I give all y'all members prophets, but understand what level of accountability comes with having a prophet. Because if a prophet tells you to do something, or God has commanded you, I can show you in the Bible where it went left because of the disobedience of you knowing that person is receiving it from God, has given it to you from God, and you still decided to do your own thing. So be very mindful of what you're asking for. Because keynote, if she said, God told me, my ears on 10, God could tell me take nothing but right turns. I'm out here like this every day. I don't know why, but I'm gonna do my part. I'm taking right turns, God. Look at me. You see me, God? I'm taking right turns. That's me. That's just how I roll. But understand, the accountability that comes with that is different, because God has put that, and he's like, hey, you got a direct line to me. Understand, you better get moving when I say move. When I say jump, you say high. So just understand that it ain't all roses. Okay. Sometimes it can be pretty tough. Like, you saying you ain't supposed to do something, and then you find yourself on a Bible study lesson. Trust me, it's not as easy as you think. All right. But it does have its benefits. Now, here we go. Most people lives look like this, right? God is really small, and all the circumstances that surround you are bigger than God. That's what you think. That's what you feel. That's what you think. All your circumstances, your kids, your marriage, everything comes before God, because you don't see God as the provider. You see God as, the big brother that you need when you got to go into a fight, instead of the parent who's there to protect you at every turn, right? So you keep God small, but all your problems are bigger. Your job, your stresses on your job, or, the pay on my job, or I need more money, or my kids, or I got to focus on my kids. My kids are in this, or my marriage, my wife. I got to put my wife first. All those things, once again, are given to you by God, but now you've put them on pedestals that you feel that they're bigger than God, or you feel like God couldn't do this, or God can't get me out of this, or God wouldn't make that happen. And I would say, who is God for you? Because as the Bible clearly states, the father of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, like that's the same God I know. Right? So in these circumstances, you have to understand that to live Christian lives, to live a Christian or godly life, it has to be reversed. God has to be bigger than everything. And when you understand that, you move differently. Now, I'm not saying that it won't shake you up. I'm not saying it won't bother you, because going back to the main verse, Jehoshaphat knew. David knew. Jehoshaphat knew that something was coming to get him. He knew that he was about to be in a fight. He knew that he was about to be in some stuff. And what did Jehoshaphat do? He turned and said, God, you with me? God, hey, big man, we still good, right? I'm still good. You still good? Okay, cool. I'm good. That's how that works. That's why I keep asking you, what are you connected to? Because you can't run to your best friend all the time. You can't run to apostle all the time. You can't run to deacon this and sister this and brother that or cousin that. You can't run to them for everything. They're not bigger than the circumstance. So the only advice they can give you is to what their mind perceives can happen, which is nothing wrong with that. They only can give you what they got. But why not go to the person that's bigger than the circumstance? Now, once again, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to keep it a buck with you. I'm not always the first one to tell somebody to go pray. It bothers me. It bothers me. But it is part of the job description of being a Christian. You got to talk to your dad. Like, it just, hey, Dad, I'm in a pinch. I'm in a bind. That's how that looks. Now, your belief and heart posture of God fixing it, that's a whole nother lesson that I ain't got time to talk about, right? But in this circumstance is, how have you placed God in your life? Is God bigger than the money problems? Is God bigger than the job? Is God bigger than your marriage? Because I'm gonna keep saying it, and I'm gonna go back to this graph. Your wife is the distribution transformer. You're happy that you got your wife, but you're not happy that the generator you're not happy about, you're not thankful for the building that made the electricity. You're not excited about the creator who made your wife for you. You're not happy for the creator who got the job and made the job for you to be in, who gave you the talents and abilities to keep the daggone job. You're not thanking the God and creator who gave you your kids. You're not thanking him. You're thanking the transformer. You're thanking the resource. So again, once you start putting God bigger than your problems, and God is truly the center of your life, let me be very clear. This is not easy to do for everybody. It is very, very, very difficult to really and truly keep God at the center of it, because even sometimes it could feel like it's falling apart. And I just got to keep it honest with you. Sometimes when you're trying to still put God first, it could still feel like things are falling apart. It could still feel like things are going through the sand, and you're trying to grasp on something, and it just keeps just dripping through your hands, and you're like, God, what have I done? What am I doing? Right? But God also says, the ones I put trials and tribulations on are the ones that I adore. He puts problems and challenges in front of you because of who you are. Job was challenged because of his connection and love to God, not because he was just a random being, right? So understand, putting God in the center of your life and picking up your cross. I heard a pastor say it's a sweet sacrifice. I said, oh, ain't that what? It is a sweet sacrifice. That's different. That is a different level of understanding and a thought process of I'm sorry. He said sweet slavery. That's what he called. Because he said the burden that he had to become a pastor was something he did not want to do. And it became a sweet slavery to where he has to deny what he wants every day to do what God has asked him to do. And every day, him being a pastor, he has to humble himself. He has to realign himself. He has to renew it. He has to stay connected to God just to keep going on as the pastor that God has called him to be, that he never wanted to do. So in a lot of circumstances, you can be in situation where God has put you and placed you just to keep you under him. Just to keep you under him. The weight and the pressure that I'm placing on you is to make sure you always know that I'm the source. So you always understand that I'm the source and I'm the resource. And I've put people in position to bless you that you need, right? So it's little things like that that I don't want to say little because they are big. And I want to be very clear, like, it's not all roses. It's not. And that's why people, God, thank you. That's why in the Bible it says we are overcomers by the testimony of others. Because again, God's never changing. God does not lie. And if God says, as I do for one, I can do for the other, right? That you have to hold on to those. You have to hold on to those testimonies. You have to hold on to those promises, because when it gets tough, and it's going to get tough, it's that when God brings you through it, then you can turn around and tell somebody and truly understand and say, hey, I was in the same boat you are, and I promise you, you'll make it to shore. I had the same holes in my boat. I promise you, you'll make it to shore. I was paddling the same way, but I promise you, you'll make it to shore. But once again, it all comes back to who you are connected to, and where's the source of your strength coming from? Where's the source of your faith coming from? Where's the source of your doubt coming from? See, we don't ever want to talk about the source of the doubt, of the fear, of the anguish. We don't ever talk about that source, because just like you feed your Christian, just like you feed your spirit, you can feed the doubt, you can feed the fear, and you can fear the anguish, you can feed the anguish. But who's feeding it to you? Who's giving it to you? Because if you're connected to the wrong people, they're feeding the fear. And they're not doing it intentionally. And that's how Satan has it. It's a friend, it's a cousin, and you know they love you. You know they love you. You know they care about you. But it's just like Peter, when Jesus talks about going to the cross, and he's like, God, I ain't gonna never let you die, God. And God says, Satan, get thee behind me, because it's not you. I know you care for me, but you don't understand what you're stopping. You don't understand what you're speaking against. So again, it's not to say that your family and your friends don't love you, because they do, but they don't understand the calling and the purpose on your life of why God has placed you where he's placed you, and what your testimony is going to be for the next person. So again, what are you connected to source-wise? Right? Because if you're with somebody that's telling you, man, you know, you probably need to you should get a second job. You know, I don't think God will want you out here looking like that. When you know God has promised you increase, you know God has promised you abundance, you know God has promised you no lack, you know God has promised you a job, or he promised you this. You know it because you talked, you spoke, you felt it, you know it. But again, like a parent, didn't I tell you? Didn't I tell you? How many times have I told you? How many times have I put you and I told you, this is what it is. This is the standard. This is how we do this. It's the same thing. It's no different. Your mom and dad have told you time and time again. And as you've gotten older, they've told you less and less because you've been around me enough. Oh, you've been around me enough to know my standard. You've been around me long enough to know what is acceptable and what's not acceptable. So I shouldn't have to tell you every single day that you need to come home and wash the dishes. You know my standard. I shouldn't have to come in home and tell you every day what is allowed or not allowed in this house. You know my standard. So again, the more you're connected to something, the more you know, the more you act accordingly, the more you can see what it truly is. When you're connected to something, when you're truly connected to the right source. Thank you, guys. That was good. All right, let's break this down even further. Because what a lot of people don't think is everybody is not supposed to come with you. Once again, a lot of people have good intentions, and I'm never going to take that away. A lot of people have good intentions, but that doesn't mean they're supposed to be with you. And once again, this is Gideon and the Midianites. This is a summary. If you want to read the whole passage, you can go to Judges chapter 7-8, right? Now, Gideon had been reluctant to accept the leadership of Israelite army, but when assured of God's direction, he took up the task. Gideon knew that he did not have the ability to defeat the Midianites. He had faith that the Lord would help him do it. Connected to the right source. You're connected to the right source. But this is the kicker, though. This is what I'm telling you when I say, when God tells you everybody can't come with you, everybody you should not be connected to. 32,000 men joined Gideon's army. He's like, oh yeah, we good. Hey, God, look at all these Bama's I got. I got 32,000 of these Bama's. They want to help your boy. They try and fight the good fight. But two things. One, God still got to be God. God still got to be God. And if you don't take nothing else from this, God still got to be God. And two, everybody that's with you is not going to come. Everybody that's connected to you ain't going to come with you, right? So then he says there was a small army compared to the Midianite army. The Midianite army was 135,000 or more. Even though the odds were stacked in the Midianites' favor, the Lord told Gideon that the Israelite army was too big. You got too many jokers. You keep forgetting that I'm God. It's too many people. It's too many people. You're bringing too many people with you. If the Israelites won with 32,000 men, they might think they won because the great abilities or strategy. No, we're not doing that. The Lord wanted to ensure they knew that victory was only because of his strength. So again, when you get out your circumstance, when you get out that boat, right? When you get out the circumstance, when you get out the boat, when people see how many holes was in the boat, they're going to ask you, how did you make it to shore? And the only thing you can ever say is, God. Not me, not my ability to swim, not my amazing ability to paddle. It was only God. And that becomes the testimony for the next person to hold on to. It's not, oh, because of my wittiness, or because of my ability to work, or my ability to fight through. No. The strength that God has given me, God saw fit for me to make it. God gave me this. God allowed this to happen. God allowed a ship to come by and pull me to shore in the middle of nowhere when I couldn't see no land, no horizon. All I saw was water around me. God had it be that a ship came by and pulled me to shore. That is what God is for. And because God has to make an entrance. Because if God doesn't make an entrance, you can't see him. It doesn't look, let me be very clear, right? There's a reason why God says, I'm a jealous God, right? If God was a person, he's the person that's going to show up late, fashionably late. And I want you to see me when I come through. And then I want you to tell all your friends when you saw me how I did what I did when I came through, right? That would be God. Humble, meek, but I'm going to come through when I come through. But when I come through, I'm going to shut it down. That's just how I'm going to do it because I'm God, right? So I'm not trying to shut it down. I'm God. It's going to shut down. Like, you know, you feel me? That's the humbleness of it all. It's like, I mean, I tried, but it's just me. I just got that ability. I shut it down when I come through. You gonna know I'm in the building, right? So that's in everything. That's in everything. So what I look like telling you I'm with you, and you got 30,000 Bama's with you too. I don't need all that. I don't need all that. You don't need all that. You got me. You got the creator of all on your side. I'm telling you, I'm rocking with you. So again, everybody that's with you does not come in the circumstances because why? Because, oh, thank you, God. Because they could slide in and take the credit. Oh, yeah, you know, if it wasn't for my great advice, oh, you know, if it wasn't for him using my car, if it wasn't for him using my credit card, God doesn't want nobody to take the credit that don't deserve to take the credit because it all goes back to him. So I got to pull the wrong people away from you so that when I do bless you and I do bring you out that circumstance, everybody around you is going to be like, bro, hold up, time out. I saw you a month ago. You had like $2 in your bank account. You showed me on your ATM receipt. Now you telling me you making 6 figures? Who gave you the job? How did you even get the interview? Like, they're going to be so when you tell them, hey man, God has been really good. God has been really good to me. Jesus has been good to me. He's blessed me. All they can say is, bro, yo, that's crazy, bro. Yo, that's wild. Yo, hey, guy, I ain't gonna lie. God's solid. That's solid, right? Like, that's all you can do because they can't take credit for anything in that involvement because God is the one that orchestrated it all. God's the one, again, back to the beginning, God is the one that placed the resources in place to make it all work in your favor, right? So let's continue on. And I'm about to close in a little bit, right? So it says, he was afraid. 22,000 men went home. There were only, now mind you, before they went home, God told Gideon, hey, listen, tell anybody who's afraid, doubt, to go home. Tell the army that. Anybody afraid, anybody got doubt, tell them to go home. 22,000 men leave. You didn't need them. Because you know what they were going to tell you when you got on the battlefield? We can't do it. We ain't going to win. God ain't with us. You don't need to feed your fear. That's not what we connecting with. So that's why God had to send them home, because your doubt is going to spread to the people who ain't afraid. That's how doubt and fear work. You could have somebody that is headstrong, but if you keep hearing the wrong thing, you keep hearing somebody talk about how fearful or all the bad outcomes or all the things that could go wrong, it's going to get to you. It is going to get to you. So God had to eliminate that. Tell them jokers to go home. All right, 22,000 men went home. There were only 10,000 men left for the 135K army. Midianites. Again, the Lord said that there were too many and instructed Gideon on how to decrease the size of the group. All of the men followed Gideon down to the water to drink. Almost all the men got down on their knees to drink from the water, but 300 of them remained standing but bent down to scoop up the water and lap it from their hands. God is like, I got to get rid of the rest of these jokers because they can't be with you in battle. They don't understand of their awareness. They don't understand that we about to go to war and they don't know how to plan accordingly. So why do you need them? Let's separate them. But 300 of them remained standing but bent down. These 300 men who lapped the water like dogs remained in Gideon's army. If 300 soldiers could defeat an army of 135,000, God would have had to be on our side. That's the summary of that story. right? So again, understanding what and how God operates. Once again, if you're connected to the right source, which is God, Jesus, he's going to guide you in a way. It won't be all roses, but I'm guiding you. I'm taking you down the twists and the turns. I'm walking with you down the twists and the turns. I will not leave you or forsake you. But understand, picking up your cross and connecting with God is not for the weak. Understand, if God, perfect in all ways, Jesus, perfect in all ways, was crucified, talked about, ridiculed, understand you are a sinner. It's coming your way. You are a believer. It's coming your way. But what are you connected to? Right? And the last thing before I get up out of here, very simply, God plus connection equals change. I'm going to say that again. God plus connection equals change. There's a reason why there's fruits of the Spirit. The tree that is blossoming from your relationship with God is going to either bear the fruit of the Spirit or you won't. So again, that's the change I'm talking about. God plus true connection. Understand, God is not a toy that you just pick up and put down and you play with it how you want to. That's not how God works. God is faithful and just that he's going to stand by his word and he'll be there. But understand, the true change that you're looking in your life is not going to come with the casual pickup and put down of God. You have to have the connection for the change to be seen, for the change to be evident in your life, for the fruit of the Spirit to bear the fruit of the Spirit. You have to have the connection, because God, once again, is going to do the work to change you. The time that you spend with him, the time that you're connected to the source, is the time that he's going to spend changing you. And just like any other parent, I keep trying to tell you, God is literally a parent. And if you look at it in the sense, it would make so much sense. The more you spend time with your mom, the more you talk like your mom or have the attributes of your mom. The more time you spend with your dad, the more things you pick up from your dad or from your grandmother or whoever you spend that time with, are the attributes and the abilities and the nuances that you pick that stuff up. God is no different as a parent. The more time you spend with him, the more you are like him. It's not rocket science. We do it every day. We're raised that way naturally. It's not hard to it's not hard to grasp when you really look at your life as what you are right now, and you'll catch yourself saying things that your mom said to you or your dad has said to you. My mom, growing up, my mom used to say, "Boy, you so sickening." I didn't even know what sickening mean. I just knew by the way she said I was getting on her nerves. I say that to my kids, my son or daughter. I'm like, "Man, y'all so sick," right? That is the time that I've spent with my mom that has just been, it is just ingrained in me. I couldn't take it out of me if I wanted to. And it's the same that's the same type of relationship that you have to spend with God, that you are so intimate, you are so close to God, that there's things that he's deposited in you couldn't take out if you wanted to. Because they just you now. That's just a part of who you are. So, again, It all equals back. It's like when a guy gives it to me, he gives it to me so granularly, like to the bare bones and meat of it, of just saying like, it's very simple. And I'm going to, again, our ways are not his ways, our thoughts are not our thoughts. So for me, you got to dumb it down to the 10th degree of the more time you spend with me, the more you're like me. The more time you spend, and that's with anything, the more I tell my kids all the time, and Shy know, and Eris know, I say practice makes progress. I don't believe in perfection. Practice doesn't make perfect. There's no such thing. Practice makes progress, and your progression just makes you better. So again, the time that you spend with God just progresses you to be more like him. To think like Jesus, to act like Jesus, to be humble like Jesus, to be meek like Jesus. And just like Jesus did on the cross, before he went to the cross, he sought out the Father's face and asked him, God, your will be done, thy will be done. If his son is doing that, who was perfect in all forms, perfect in all things, is on his knees asking the Father, please take this away from me. I don't want this. I don't want to do this. But if it's in your will, okay. That is the standard. And who are we? Even me, I like to jump the line. I ain't gonna lie to you. God was kind of a prophet because he was talking to God, so he kind of got to cheat the line too. You know what I'm saying? So I just use key to cheat the line. But but that is what it looks like, being more like him. And it's not in the sense, and this is the thing, it's not in the sense of being this mystical being of like, oh, I can tell people to heal, and it's not all that. Sometimes it's just in your mannerisms, right? Just in your mannerisms of how you carry yourself, how you move, because people can see God in you just by how you move, how you treat people, how you have care for people, how you have concern for people, no different than what Jesus had for the people that he touched and he ministered to. The same care and concern, or the thought, or the being thoughtful, or being diligent, and those things are like Christ. So just because you're not this person, speaking in tongues and all that doesn't make you less Christ-like. When you put the time in, you've put the work in, and God is bearing fruit in your life, and people can see it. Because God plus connection just simply equals change. And it's a change that everybody's going to see. That's just what it is. So everybody, that's been my time, man. Listen, as always, I thank you guys for tuning into this. Once again, if you're my off-script family, I truly appreciate you for coming over here and checking it out. Listen, if you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. If you haven't liked the stream, go ahead and like the stream and share it with somebody, man. Bless somebody on accordingly to make sure if you feel like there's something they need to hear. All right, listen, until next time, you know what I'm going to do.